Beautiful building, right? It sure is a place where they can use the Salvation Army, so it's a good thing that it's here. Almost. Almost. The store is closed and out of business. Sorry, we're closed. The guys who don't think any of my stories are interesting. Good for them. Good for them. Not taking any donations. Why would they? They're closed. Looking house across the street. Decent parking lot. COVID and all that. It affects the poor people first and foremost. All that nickel and diming doesn't make a difference when you're a millionaire. But every nickel and every dime makes a difference when you're poor. I set my goals small. 85 cents a day so I can get a can of Mountain Dew. If I get that can of Mountain Dew, I pretend it was a good day no matter what happened. That's how I pretend. It's how I get myself on to the next day. I see it getting harder and harder for poor people. I see the middle class becoming the poor, thinking they can credit their way out of it. In the end, they just screw themselves. Because when they hit the streets, some of them are hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. At least there's some pleasant people. I guess there's a contingency plan in place to help jail for temporarily. Thank goodness. The United States don't care nobody but the rich.
That's right.
On the bright side, you can work until you screw up your back, and then you're going to end up out here on the streets.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway.
All right. I would say that's not far from the truth, but the fact is, for many people, it absolutely is the truth. Back injuries are horrible. If you're not in a wheelchair, then people just assume you don't have one. People assume because they can't see it that it's all fine and dandy. Me, if I'm walking on the street, level pavement or sidewalk, well, people can't tell that I have hip issues. And when it starts going a little bit, I start limping. Now, right now, it's accentuated because I have a little bit of boot rot on my right foot. That's because in weather like this, you sweat a bit. And when you sweat, well, that salt collects on the bottom of your shoes and mixes with that there ammonia that's being leached out of the bottom of your foot. Oh, we won't go into the medical crap on that, will we? I'm sure each and every one of you have had a hot day where you couldn't take your shoes off. Where your socks ended up soaked and you were more afraid to take them off and stinking everybody out than anything else. You see all these services here. Well, everywhere actually, disappearing. We got to see in the 90s, we got to see all those battered women's shelters, and that's what we called them, but they were actually safe houses. Most of them were privately owned, and they were run in conjunction with the Department of Health and Human Services. Then, in the 90s, we handed them all over to police departments. And those police departments promptly shut most of those safe houses down. Didn't have the funding. Well, Sydney Nebraska alone, there have been literally millions of dollars donated, as well as at least 7 houses that have been donated for the purpose of the safe house in Sidney, Nebraska, and still there is no safe house in Sidney, Nebraska. So then let's fast forward a bit. They did that all across America. It's not just Sidney, Nebraska. Boulder, Colorado, same thing. Denver, Colorado, same thing. Irvine, California, same thing. Huntington Beach, same thing. Seattle, Washington, Tacoma, Washington, Portland, Oregon. It don't matter. It's the same thing. It's universal. It's nationwide. Now you have one choice in most areas, and that one choice isn't much of a choice. It's to go to a homeless shelter. And I don't know if you guys have ever experienced extreme trauma, but holy shit, that turns into a vacuum that sucks you in quick. I mean, first of all, you're stuck at that homeless shelter. You got a bunch of people who are predatory who are stuck there too. Here you are, you got PTSD and you're scared shitless, and these people are going to zone in on you. Fresh meat and all that. That's not help. Meanwhile, there's all these hoops you're expected to jump through to try to get any help, and there's no guarantee there. You get a little bit of a guarantee if somebody cares to go in with you, but you get out here on the streets, and, you know, there's a woman who's been beaten by her husband, and she's out here on the streets, and all these women around her for days and days and days. They're trading stories. You know, she's got something that is pending. She is currently homeless over. She needs help with it right now. And those women are doing the same thing that they complained about people doing when they first became homeless. You're not listening. I'm trying to tell you about the abuse I'm going through and tell you that I need help and you can help me. But instead it becomes story time. And pretty soon that woman, even though these other women are being nice and being understanding, to what degree? What level of understanding? I mean, for them, they understood that when it happened to them, nobody was there for them. And they say, oh, honey, I'll be there for you. Well, it's been 3 days, 5 days, a week, even a month. And they keep getting these same words day in, day out, day in, day out. Oh, this person's going to help. Oh, that person's going to help. Oh, did you call this place? Did you call that place? All these people are telling you what to do, but they're not helping you to do it. And that's very scary for most people. Now you get this lip service, and a lot of these women, that's where it starts slipping into the drugs. You start getting this lip service from these women, and pretty soon you've been out here for a while. And the cops just see you as another hobo. You must be a junkie. You associate with the junkies. No, they're the ones paying you the lip service. They're the ones pretending like they're going to help and like they understand. No, the cops fucking listened. But now you're out here homeless and you realize not only are there no battered women's shelters like you thought there were, but the services for the homeless are pretty well non-existent. And now that you're homeless, whoever it is that victimized you can call you mentally ill and automatically win. You're the one that's homeless. You didn't understand that when you were driving by Snide and sticking your nose up at everybody, did you? You know, I could never end up there. Yo, you're one broken nose away from that. I know a woman who was on her way to being a model, or so she tells the story. And a lot of guys tell me how hot she was before the incident. But then she got a boyfriend who broke her nose and really, really messed up her nose. And of course, yeah, she does have a really messed up nose, and it looks like a really messed up nose because it's a really messed up nose. People treat her different. It's kind of like the system or the situation with Jamie Curtis. With Jamie Curtis, she's real pretty, but she didn't used to be. She used to have a big old gap between her teeth. Ooh, that's cool. But then she got braces, and people made fun of her for having the braces. But then she got the braces off, and her teeth were straight. She was pretty. And then, of course, she reveled in the attention. She's never had that kind of attention before. Hell yes, that is power to her. Now, of course, when you're somebody who's always been pretty and always gotten that attention, well, it might be something that gets boring real quick. And then you end up telling people, oh, it's a blessing, but it's also a curse to be pretty. Hey, yes, it sucks having people give you stuff all the time. Well, you know, it sucks breaking their hearts, or so on and so forth. All that aside, all right, let's push all that aside. Let's get all that out of the way. All right, people do dangerous shit to try to survive. All right, they do desperate things to try to survive. And we're taught, hey, if you gotta use it. If you're one of those top 5% pretty girls that every dude is gonna swoon over, and you can use that to better your life, then by all means, American society says go ahead. We'll call you a gold digger, but beyond that, more power to you. And a lot of that results in people who are physically dominant. People in a relationship who feel that they have bought another human being, like they have bought a wife. And many times that becomes a scary scenario. But that's not any problem with that rich person could end up out here on the streets being treated like they're crazy. Yeah. Seriously. And then, of course, there's the crazies that are dumped out here with us. So they go, oh, well, look how many of the homeless are mentally ill. Mentally ill. If you're depressed and you're on the streets, you're mentally ill. You must be. It must be mental illness. It couldn't possibly be abuse. It couldn't possibly be from getting smacked in the fucking head with a can. Or getting punched in the back of the head by somebody with a burrito. All these services all gone. And then there's the services you send us to, and you send us to them over and over and over again for them to tell us it's not their job, and we say, hey, you call them with us. Instead of treating me like I'm a liar, call them with me. Please call them with me. See what it's really like for yourself, and then testify. We need to change this shit. Services for the homeless in Boulder County, you know what happened to them? Bohos started by homeless people. Given to the sheriff's department, and the sheriff's department, of course, closed it down from lack of funds. So, literally what they're doing is they're taking the funds that are supposed to be going to these programs for the homeless. Same as they're taking the funds that were supposed to go to programs for battered women and their children, and they're siphoning that. Now, there's a special name for siphoning money off like that, and nearly every police station and every sheriff's office in America is siphoning that money off that way. At the expense of battered women, their children, the homeless, the disabled. And you allow it. As long as it's not happening to you. As long as it's your annoying brother that it's happening to, it's fine. Doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. It's not a rocket science, but sometimes you don't know what the right thing to do is. You just know you have to do something. With the services for the poor being washed away to pay the debts of bad cops, while their buddies do this repeatedly to the homeless to siphon off your taxpayer dollars to incarcerate disabled people trying to tell on their predators, or homeless people for not having a fucking pot to piss in. When you were injured and your family took care of you, you didn't end up homeless on the streets with that injury, like many did. Many didn't have families. Maybe they have relatives, but none who cared enough to actually do the right thing. I didn't grow up with my family. I knew who they were. I'd met them. I even stayed with them from time to time. Anyway, I'm back in the area where everything has been going down. I'm hoping the contingency plan with Jamie works out. And I wholeheartedly expect to get bitched at. Anyway, it's good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind.